Good morning. So my name's Helen and I've been with Wight Aviation Museum since day one. So I'm going to give you a little bit of history of how we started and how a little museum has got off the ground. Believe it or not, my life skills include things like I'm a qualified chef, I'm a drug and alcohol advisor for the Home Office, I'm a classroom assistant and I'm a licensed landlady. I aim to retire. Didn't you all? Did you all think you were going to retire? No chance. I spent 6 weeks training and can now add that I am now a slight historian, a museum curator and a museum designer. So my job spec is getting wider opposed to smaller, and I became a director of the museum when we started. Life has a funny way of working its way through, doesn't it? Unlike Tangmere Museum, who've been established since 1982, Wight Aviation Museum is only 8 years old. We're the babies, so we are still learning, and credit we're still growing and getting things done. But where did we start? After closing our pub, my husband, sitting at the back, and I owned the Propeller Inn at Bembridge Airport. That was aviation-related pub. And a lot of people came in with memorabilia. Did you want this? Did you want that? And the pub actually became more of a museum than a pub. We collected everything for about 9 years, and the landlord then said, off you go, need to move. So we were left with boxes of things. What do you do with them? We really didn't know whether to sell them, throw them away. The Isle of Wight didn't have an aviation museum that we could give them to. So we had a meeting with John Kenyon and Bob Wealthy and said, shall we open a museum? Good idea, we all said. We included another meeting at a local hotel and invited members of the public to come. And that included Mary Ellis, for people that know of Mary Ellis and the history of Mary Ellis, who came to the museum. The challenge was on. Everybody said yes. 4 of us put our hands in our pockets, found a little bit of money, and set up the aviation charity, the Wight Aviation Museum, in a hangar at Sandown Airport. A small group of directors were formed, and a plea went out for volunteers. And wow, what a group of volunteers that came through. Now, I learned very early on that you have to feed people tea. You know, I think we're very lucky on the Isle of Wight. Sam Twining lives on the Isle of Wight. So we supplied quite a bit of tea to everybody. And we would have constant meetings with our tea to decide what we wanted to do. What did the museum want to look like? What was going to be in the museum? We had very little money, as all of you probably had little money in the start. We had to build something with little knowledge and mixed emotions and a lot of chiefs who decided what we wanted. So we had more tea. Then I developed in winter making soup. So my plea was to keep the volunteers on board. We needed a workforce to build things. We couldn't afford to go and buy display cases and wonderful pieces for the museum. So we said, right, we'll build it then. We'll win this one. And we joined up with the Men in Shed projects. If anybody's familiar with Men in Sheds, that's a national organisation, originally funded by Age Concern. They gave us a few drills and screwdrivers and hammers, and so work commenced. We began our work in 2017, 2018. There was a lot of talking about what we wanted and how to achieve it. One of the roles I found I had was to go out and find shops that closed. Not that I wanted a bargain, but I persuaded them that they didn't need the bookcases or display cabinets. They didn't want to sell it to me either, did they? And they certainly liked to deliver it free. So the museum developed with a lot of ex-shop equipment and shop shelving and things to make the museum. I also decided that we needed it to be painted. Well, I went to B&Q, and there in a great pile was 44 cans of pale blue paint. So So the Wight Aviation Museum is pale blue. Luckily, it's still in stock. So everything's blue, and one of our volunteers, Grant, if you stand still, you'll be painted blue. That's what he does. So we opened to visitors. They started to come and see us, and that was joyous. So we had more tea and more cakes. We made a policy that the museum would be 80% Isle of Wight, because it's only a hangar. We are quite tiny. Lots of people came, bringing lots more stuff. Lots of people visited. We had people flying in to come and see us. Made more tea, more cakes. We developed a lot. We found we had a lot of skills and a lot of passion within our volunteers. The late Tony Smart, I think he used to come to these meetings. He led a team of volunteers with support of local businesses to build a life-size replica of the Black Arrow rocket. How many of you have got a rocket in your collection? And we're a tiny little island with a hangar. And this rocket stands proudly at the airfield for everybody to see, and you can see it from space. Bring it on. So a lot of the team were involved with space and rockets. We include aeroplanes, rockets, helicopters, and of course hovercrafts in the museum. We also have a school project. You were talking about engaging young people. So one of the things we did, led by Anne Porter, who's here, we have a school project where we invite children in, like you, and Mark made hovercrafts so the children could actually drive, pilot the hovercrafts, fly. See, I am not an aviator. We also run a science fair in the local high school where we engage all the businesses to come along who are in the world of aviation, engineering and science. And we have a whole day of science and exploring, and we talk to 700 plus young people to try and engage them to come into the field of aviation, electronics and engineering. And that's quite a feat on the island because, as I say, we're quite tiny. We've also had 2 books published, one being The Rocket, where's Paul? Paul published a small book about the rocket. We've had a school book, and we've got another one in the process of being published. Like all museums, we need funding. Like all of you, it's a very, very difficult game now to get funding. So we decided, or I did over another cup of tea, that the museum should really start sharing events that we do. So we engaged in different things to do. With different charitable organisations, we run a model fest. So all you model makers out there who have a wonderful career in model making, what do you do with your models? They often sit on your shelf, collecting dust and not looked at. So we invited everybody that was a model maker to come along to the museum, display what they had done and share it with the rest of the island. We asked the local vintage bus museum to bus people in. So we had 2 charities working for one project. We worked with the Rotary. The Rotary are a fantastic organisation. The Rotary on the Isle of Wight hold a mammoth jumble sale, and I mean jumble sale. This is a jumble sale beyond the Scouts. It was huge. And they asked us, with the ability dogs for young people who are our neighbours, if they could use the premises. They raised £30,000 on a jumble sale. I'm in the wrong business, really, aren't I? Are you? We didn't get all that, but we got some of that. And what we did get was people who had never been to the museum to see the museum, who said, I didn't know you were here. I didn't know you'd got this. So the PR for that was absolutely brilliant. We have a Many Shed Festival, where 16, on the Isle of Wight there are 16 Many Sheds, and we gather in June, so all the Many Sheds who do all the work come and display what they do, and we invite the Isle of Wight to come and join in what they do. And we work with the Round Table, who recently held a ladies' night, and that was lovely for us girls to put our posh frocks on, and they raised money for us that's going to go to our space project. We also invite businesses. Like you, we work with a lot of the businesses that are maybe engaged in aviation. GKN, they held their annual meeting within the museum. And remember, we're tiny, so to pack a lot of the GKN staff in, with more cake and more cups of tea was good for us, and they then consequently gave us a grant for some work that we're doing. We work with ICR, who are a till company, and Terry, who runs our shop, has now got a brand spanking new till that confuses the hell out of all our old people that work in the museum, who are really better at the Arkwright Museum, Arkwright till. We also work with BA Systems, who've helped us with the VR. We've got a bulldog and we have a VR system. Harbour Travel, we go to the Harbour Travel company and the schools and take the children on the hovercraft. And of course we get funding from Aviation Heritage UK that we were lucky to get. Our visitor numbers rose. We needed more volunteers. And over the years, slowly, things got better. And then the hangar next door became vacant. So, after a brief discussion, cakes and biscuits, we decided we'd get that hangar as well. Now, this is fairly new. We only got this 24-25, and we started a very big ambition of what we should do with it. While we were waiting, we decided we could use it for some PR work, and we invited the Bull Nose Morris Club, a car company, and they had afternoon tea. So all the volunteers in the Isle of Wight, clad in their blue, were now waiters and waitresses serving afternoon tea. Very diverse lot of folk we are. We've invited people in to talk about their books. We've invited people in to give talks as you have here. So we're trying to spread our wings a little bit. We have great ambition. And not unlike all of you, museums work very hard with amazing volunteers. None of us are paid. We don't have any paid members of staff, which is good and bad. But they keep coming on a Monday and a Tuesday and a Wednesday and a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday. And when I say, yeah, coming for the tea, I know. Morrison supply our tea. If you've been to the local supermarket, they'll supply you with your tea, coffee, sugar and biscuits. If you have a nice word in their ear. We too like young people to come in, and that is a very difficult bridge to cross because young people today aren't quite into museums. It's kind of a bit old-person-y, dare I say, looking around the room and me included. So that's where I think the VR has to come in, where school projects come in, and where we do things that are slightly different. All of us sitting here need a huge pat on the back, because without us, none of these museums would exist. And just like our pub, it would have gone into landfill. Well, not the pub, the stuff that was in the pub. Stuff that was in the pub. We look forward to a bright future. We are trying to move. We do hit difficulties, like all of you, but we're just a bunch of folk that like a cup of tea. Thank you.